This is Rack and Fin Radio with Tom P., South Jersey's hunting and fishing expert on WPG Talk Radio 1450 and WPG1450.com.
A little polar vortex coming at you this weekend of February 13th. Brrr. Hey, you're inside Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P. WPG 1450 AM from 6 to 7, the Great Talk Radio. And from 7 to 8, 97.3 ESPN FM, 50,000 watts of the Rack and Fin Radio message, celebrating our 13th year. New Jersey's longest running and most successful outdoor program. Hey, man, we just may get a little bit of an ice fishing season down here in South Jersey. Would be cool. Those white perch in the Bass River and Mullicum inland. You have some great pickerel and bass opportunities, also panfish, and on those lakes that were stocked with trout in October and November, where ice fishing is legal, man. It will be some great through-the-hole action. Hey, just a reminder, today closes the special permit shotgun and muzzleloader seasons in those 50 DMZs scattered throughout the state. Go to Fish and Wildlife Digest, check that out. Next week, February 20th, ends the winter bow season in those zones. Now, on Monday, general small game season concludes, as does the snow goose season. But as of Tuesday, the snow goose conservation order comes in effect, and that will run into April. Coming up in our next segment is Ted Nichols, wildlife biologist with the Division of Fish and Wildlife. He's also the waterfowl project leader. Now, man, Ted and I have been discussing this the past few weeks. A very weird winter. The snows were here, then they weren't. They're gone, they're here, they're back, they're not. They're all over the place, and then they vanish. So who knows? It could be a very challenging conservation order, quote-unquote, season. But with this cold weather, birds should be coming. There's a bunch up by the Finger Lakes. They should be down sometime this week. Unplugged shotguns limited to 7 shells. How cool is that? Electronic calls. How cool is that? How cool is this? No bag limit. Now, you must have the special permit. We'll get into that rather a little later in the program. Now, just a reminder, turkey permit applications are still being accepted and will be through February 22nd. Now, all permits that must be claimed by March 21st at 11:59. Any leftover and unclaimed permits will go on sale March 28th, beginning at 10 a.m. That chronic wasting disease study on a deer has finally been released. Again, njfishandwildlife.com. Check it out. All the questions and answers on this insidious disease. In a nutshell, it looks as if New Jersey, 99.9%, we are free of it. No instances. I think they checked about 6,200 wild deer and 135 or 140 captive deer. Found no instances of it. But again, njfishandwildlife.com to find out more about chronic wasting disease. And just a reminder, next Saturday, February 20th, the Freshwater Fisheries Forum at Batstow Village in Wharton State Forest starts at 10 a.m., usually wraps up about at 1:30. I'm going to have coffee and donuts. The crew brings coffee and donuts. I have to like that. Now, 3 critical topics being discussed: the warm water sampling results throughout South Jersey, the Union Lake fishery inventory. Union Lake, one of the best largemouth bass lakes, great crappie lake, very, very good smallmouth lake in South Jersey, if not the entire state. I mean, they have some bronzebacks in there, man. And there's also, you hear about rumors of stripers here and there. And also the ongoing management programs and projects statewide. Now, 2 biologists are going to be present, Chris Smith, and they just had a new hire. He's an assistant biologist. You'll meet him as well. And also, Fisheries Chief Lisa Barno will be in attendance. Now, you can pre-register if you want to just show up. They like to get, the Bureau likes to get an approximate number of people there. 609-259-6964. That's 609-259-6964. That's Chris Smith's Central Region office. Or again, just show up. Now, here's a chance to present your opinions and observations and make recommendations as you see it as your anglers throughout central and southern New Jersey. Will it make a difference? Will it matter? My opinion, not likely. Not likely. Everything seems be copacetic with the status quo. Any new programs, projects, ideas? I don't know. Here's the pat answer. We'll look into it. Oh, yeah, we'll look into it. Well, can you look into this? You looked at it. Could you let me know? What did you do? Well, we decided. Well, anyway, still a good presentation out there. That's next Saturday, February 20th, the Freshwater Fisheries Forum. Let me qualify it. The South Jersey Fisheries Forum in Batstow Village in Wharton State Forest at the Visitor Center. Starts at 10 a.m., usually runs until 1. Again, 3 topics: warm water sampling results in South Jersey, Union Lake fishery inventory, and ongoing management programs and projects. Okay, as promised, coming up, Teddy Nichols, Snow Goose Conservation Order. And after that, the trials and tribulations of being a bass pro and winning the Bassmaster Classic. Reigning champion Casey Ashley. We on Rack and Fin Radio. Grab that cup, grab that Red Bull. Be right back.
This is Rack and Fin Radio with Tom P. on WPG Talk Radio 1450.
Back inside Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P. WPG 1450 AM, the Great Talk Radio. And from 7 to 8, 97.3 ESPN FM, 50,000 watts of the Rack and Fin Radio message. Okay, hunting seasons are winding down. Final week for winter bow in those 15 DMZs around the state. Check njfishandwildlife.com or the digest to find out which zones are indeed open. Make sure you have your permit for the corresponding zone. Okay, general small game season is going to end on Monday. I think in the digest it says February 20th for bunnies. But squirrel, pheasant, etc. ends on Monday. Also ending on Monday is the snow goose, a.k.a. light goose season. However, on the 16th, the conservation order comes into play. Okay, now that is electronic calls, unplugged shotguns on more than 7 shells, unlimited bag limit. Snow geese, light geese. Where are the snow geese and the light geese? Put a call into good friend, frequent guest on Rack and Fin Radio when he's not counting waterfowl in the air, doing all sorts of duck and goose stuff. Ted Nichols. He's a principal wildlife biologist, New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife. He's also the state's waterfowl project leader. We discussed on the phone earlier in the week. Ted, where the snow geese? Tom P. I don't know. We've seen some flocks here and there, but areas now where they should be here in droves, in numbers and numbers. The numbers are meager. Okay, how this augurs for these next few weeks, and the season will go through March. It's a mid-March, rather. But Ted's going to fill us in what he thinks is going on with the snows and the lights. Ted, how you doing? Thanks for joining us this morning.
Hey, Tom, pretty well. Thanks for having us on today. You know, it's been a pretty odd winter. We kind of started with no winter whatsoever until January rolled in, and then it just kind of was a little bit average and up and down. And I know a lot of people have been complaining and say, boy, I wish we'd get some cold weather, and watch what you wish for. You might get it. So, you know, that weather kicking in here this morning is just absolutely brutal. And I think it's going to be a big reshuffling of the deck of where these snow geese are going to occur. I mean, over this really, really mild winter, I heard reports of tens of thousands of snow geese up into the Finger Lakes region in New York and Lake Champlain right up into the beginning of January. And when it got a little bit cold, a lot of them left. And when it got warm again in the middle of January, a lot of them bounced right back in. And just kind of the general reports I've been hearing from biologists, hunters, and other folks all around the Mid-Atlantic is snow geese just seem to be kind of scattered all over the place and nowhere in big numbers.
Well, Ted, I saw a couple of flocks up north in Warren County. We saw some flocks out there by Bordentown, Allentown area. I would say 539 running through there. And also we saw some down, again, by Woodstown, normal, snow goose areas, but again, not in those numbers. So people are saying, is it even worth it to try to go snow goose hunting now with a conservation order? And listen, I said mid-March. That's about the last of the gunning when they're still around before they take off. They're gone for good. St. Patty's Day is always the mark that we use. But it will go until April 9th. But for all intents and purposes, those birds are long gone by then. Or, as Ted says, there's maybe they even haven't arrived yet. So, Ted, what do you think now? What can the gunners expect out here? It's going to be pick and choose or run around all over the place, try to find these flocks, see what they're feeding on, or what?
Yeah, I think, Tom, what's going to happen here is, what you've been seeing the past couple of few weeks is, again, what is history now with this really cold weather that's locking the whole East Coast or the whole eastern half of the country. I think it's going to be a massive reshuffling of the deck of where these birds occur. And if I had to look into the crystal ball, my expectation is we're going to see a lot more snow geese here over the next couple of days by as early, pretty much probably right on when that conservation order begins. But again, I'm not. Don't bank on that. Yeah. I mean, snow geese are notorious for making mass movements and large movements and being very inconsistent on where they occur. And I think this is it. This year is kind of showing that in spades. Now, it's not like the snow geese aren't out there or they're gone or, that there's a big problem with their population size, because there's not. The latest estimate from the spring of 2015 in southern Canada is about 800,000 birds.
Whoa.
And that's about 60% of over the population objective of 500,000 birds.
Okay, join us this morning on WPG 1450 AM from 6 to 7 and from 7 to 8, 97.3 ESPN FM is Ted Nichols, Principal Wildlife Biologist in the Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife, also the state's waterfowl project leader. Topic is snow geese and the conservation order that kicks in February 16th and runs until April 9th. Well, Ted, overall population, again, is stable. Has this conservation order, that's been going on for years, is this more like a stabilizer, or is it putting a dent in what seems to be an overabundant population? What do you think?
Well, what we've seen, the population trend in the early and mid-'90s, the population was growing at about 10% per year. So that gets really dangerous given all the evidence of what we've seen of what can happen on the breeding grounds, what happened on the breeding grounds for mid-continent. The birds that are here in the Atlantic Flyway, it's a different population of birds. They're mostly greater snow geese. They breed further east, and we haven't exhibited that tremendous damage, but that could have happened pretty quickly. This conservation order, which was first implemented in Canada in 1999, in southern Quebec, and then in the U.S. in 2009, has pretty much stopped the population growth. In fact, it maybe has waffled down just a little bit, but for all intents and purposes, that population growth has stopped, which is a good thing. We've kind of stopped the momentum of that great big freight train, running down the mountain.
Well, Teddy, to which species detriment with the snow goose explosion? Now it's sort of stabilized, as you said, but what waterfowl suffered during that burgeoning growth period?
Well, Tom, what they've seen in other parts where light geese have been real abundant around Hudson Bay is they get in and they eat, the young goslings, they call it grubbing, where they eat up all the grasses on the tundra. And what ends up happening is that tundra becomes extremely salty. They call that hypersaline. And pretty much even some of the salt-tolerant plants can't even grow because it becomes so salty, and it becomes, for all intents and purposes, kind of like a wasteland.
Wow.
So there's all sorts of species that depend on that, from Atlantic brant to many species of Canada geese to some species of ducks. And, snow geese are really good at kind of degrading an area and then just kind of moving on. So we didn't really want that to happen with greater snow geese, and fortunately the population of greater snow geese was a bit smaller, and we seem to have been able to stop that population growth.
Well, Ted, it seems to me in the many years that I've hunted, let me clear that up, listeners, that I attempt to hunt them, had some good hunts, had some very poor hunts, and the poor hunts, that was on me. But Ted, it seems snows, are they warier, or for lack of a better term, just plain smarter than Canada's? They seem, and the birds, some of the birds we shot were older than me almost, it seemed. I mean, they are really long-lived, and I think their intelligence, again, for lack of a better term, intelligence, smarts, wariness, craftiness, however you want to put it, makes them an extremely, extremely tough target.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right, Tom. You kind of hit that right on the head. Although I'm not sure about that point about them being older than you, but they are long-lived birds, and it's not uncommon that there's been band recoveries of birds that are 20 years old. And
wow!
And although that's not the norm, there's certainly lots of birds that are older than 10 years old. So they've seen it 10 years, and they are a very, very difficult bird to decoy and to get in. And you're right. I mean, a lot of those snow goose hunts tend to end in failure, but some of the ones that you have success are can be tremendous. Successful, and that's what brings a lot of folks back. And this year's going to be even tougher because the number of young, or the percent of young in the population this year, was not a very good breeding season for snow geese, so there's not a lot of young birds out there.
Oh boy. Okay, why don't we scratch that hunt that I had planned? Well, Ted, thanks for joining us on Rack of Vince. On the overall, listeners, you can't expect, you want to get out there for the snows, you could hire a guide, try it on your own, but you need a lot of decoys. It's really. Ted, I call it a labor of love times, to the 10th degree. I mean, it's just amazing what's involved in hunting the snows successfully. You can have the great fields, you're patterning their flights, where they're feeding, where they're not feeding, you have the layout, and then very capricious, boom, for whatever reason, that very next morning, they're 3 or 4 fields over, half a mile away. So, Ted, that's what gets exasperating. Again, that's why it's called hunting. But I've seen some instances, Nichols, where it is shooting. During the conservation order season, it can get crazy.
And you're right, Tom. I mean, I'm not sure what's going to happen with this cold weather that we're getting now. I think, birds are going to reshuffle, end up in a lot of places. But I think you hit it spot on that even though this conservation order goes to April 9th, which is pretty much the very end window where the last birds leave, typically things really start petering out by the third week, like you said, St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that don't wait to the end because you're pretty much going to miss the boat.
Okay, Ted, is there anything on the Fish and Wildlife website pertaining to snow geese?
Sure, Tom. That was just updated recently. There's some stuff on there about what the conservation order is and the reporting requirements and what's prohibited under federal regulations. And there's also some guidelines on where snow geese historically have been. Mostly where we see them in our midwinter survey, which is the salt marshes down along Delaware Bay.
Yep.
Some of the private, and they also occur on private lands all through Salem and Cumberland County, which far and away lead that harvest. There's, like you said, a flock that kind of centers around from Trenton to Freehold to Jackson to Mansfield in that area, and of course a big flock of birds that are centered on Merrill Creek Reservoir. There's no hunting allowed on the reservoir, but all the fields or all the private lands surrounding, within a 35-mile radius of Merrill Creek can have snow geese on any given day.
Well, Ted, several years ago, we had a fair hunt. I had probably 7 or 8 shots and got one. But right there, the Musconetcong Wildlife Management Area, or Bloomsbury-Asbury Road there, right on the other side of the hamlet of Asbury, and that's, as a crow flies, or as a snow goose flies, within 3 or 4 miles of Merrill Creek Reservoir. So it's not just basically a Southwest Jersey dealio, listeners, but explore, look around. That's part of the. To me, Ted, this is big game waterfowling. This is a tough go, but that's what the challenge is. Ted, thanks for joining us on Rack and Fin. Have a safe late winter and spring season. Hope to see you soon.
Thanks, Tom. You have a successful hunt if you choose to go.
Well, listen, Nichols, I shoot a lot. Thank God the lead isn't allowed, because some of the places we go, they would have to shut the lands down. You take care, Ted.
Yeah, you take care. Thanks, Tom.
See you. Again, here's the deal on the snow geese. Again, the 16th till April 9th. I know I said mid-March, but again, St. Patrick's Day, that's about it. Okay, so electronic calls are permitted. Unplug your shotguns, but no more than 7 shells. Can't be capable of holding more than 7 shells. Shooting hours. Here it is. Half hour before sunrise and half hour after sunset. That's a critical time, as is with Canada, just as it is with the snow geese. Okay, your state stamp, your federal stamp, your HIP number, and, of course, your 2016 license. A permit is required. Go to njfishandwildlife.com. You can get it on there, or you can get it by mail. Send $2 in, made to the Division of Fish and Wildlife. It's also your, a photocopy of your license, okay, is going to be required with that. Figure a couple of days to get it back. Self-addressed stamp envelope to be included. Yes, plenty of waterfowling still going on. Tough go, man, with these snows. They are smarter than smart. The Einsteins, okay, the Stephen Hawking, pardon the pun, of waterfowling. Tom P., grab that cup, grab that Red Bull. Be right back. Rack and Fin Radio.
This is Rack and Fin Radio with Tom P. on WPG Talk Radio 1450.
Yeah, back inside Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P. WPG 1450 AM from 6 to 7, the Great Talk Radio from 7 to 8, 97.3 ESPN FM, 50,000 watts of the Rack and Fin Radio message heard far and wide into Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, Eastern PA, and most of New Jersey. New Jersey's longest running and most successful outdoor program. 13 years, man. How people here haven't killed me yet, I have no idea, but for the grace of God goes Tom P. Okay, man, we have the cold weather now. Cold weather, you're thinking fishing, no, still some hunting going on, but the thoughts of the saltwater, especially in this area. Striper season is going to open March 1st. Now, last year, remember that? There's still, a Great Bay still had 3 or 4 inches of ice on it, something else, but it will get here eventually. But hey, listen, March 4th through 6th, what has been touted for decades now as the World Series of Professional Bass Fishing, is going to take place at Grand Lake of the Cherokees down in Oklahoma, just outside of Tulsa. The classic is the creme de la creme. These are the best largemouth, smallmouth bass anglers in the world. Tough trail of competition to get there, and it is really something to see. I hear a lot about what does it take to be a professional bass fisherman. You don't want to know what it takes to be a professional bass fisherman. We've had Pete Gluzik on before. I fished his first classic with him as a press angler way back when in the mid to late 90s when he joined, made the circuit, and he made the classic. Great angler. He and I, Canelli, had a Bass University going on. Right now, joining us on the line is Casey Ashley. He is the reigning 2015 Geico Bassmaster Classic champion, and he'll be fishing down there at Grand Lake of the Cherokees. I had the pleasure of working with Casey while with Wood Advertising there in Ocean City. Casey was on the Trite Pro staff. He was also with Z-Man and Young Gun, one of the young guns going out there that, I tell you, hard road, tough road. Won the class. You have incredible fishermen out there. You have incredible competition. It is keen. It is, for lack of a better term, on the water, can be cutthroat. Casey's going to fill us in a little bit right now. What it takes to get to the Classic and what happens when you win the Classic. Casey, Ashley, good to talk to you again, little brother. How have you been?
I've been good. How about y'all?
Lock, cocked, and ready to rock, Casey. The Classic is coming on. Now, I've been very fortunate, Casey. Over the years, probably, 10, 12 times, I was a press angler, fished with some of the best out there. Bernie Schultz, Tommy Biffle Hackney, fished with Jimmy Houston, fished with Shaw. Shaw says, Tom P., stay in the back of the boat and shut up. That was it for me. But Casey, you're one of the young guns, one of the new faces. Now, you've been a classic. You've been a bass pro for how many years now, Case?
Been 10 years. This will be season number 10.
10 years coming up, and you're making the grade. You've won many tournaments, and you're fishing against the best here. Casey, getting to the Classic, actually becoming a bass professional from the get-go. Casey, what does it take? The commitment, the studying, the tutorials. What goes on with that?
It takes a lot of hard work and dedication. I tell you, you really find out when you want to go pro. You find out how much you love fishing. That's why if you don't love it and really, very passionate about it, you definitely won't last doing this. It's a very, very mind-boggling. It's rough on your body. More goes into it than just fishing.
Oh, I see. Guys, that's what a lot of people don't understand, at least a lay person. The physical punishment the professional bass anglers take in those flying rocket bass boats through rough water, through big open water, fishing. I mean, you're off balance. You're running the electric motor. You're casting. You're landing fish, going from here to there. Case, it is physically taxing, is it not?
It is, and the thing about it is it's up and down, up and down. You have those lulls during the day when not much is going on, but the mental fatigue about the whole deal, that's what really takes a toll on you. And, you go so many hours and not having a bite, and you catch a 6-pounder, and I mean your heart's pumping, and then that lasts for about 5 minutes, and it's gone.
We're speaking with Casey Ashley, reigning Geico Bassmaster Classic champion 2015. He's going to be fishing the Classic again 2016 next month, March 4th through 6th at Grand Lake of the Cherokees down there in Oklahoma outside of Tulsa. Now, Casey, when you won on Lake Hartwell last year down in just outside of Greenville, South Carolina, it's your home water, correct? I mean, you're a South Carolina boy?
Yeah, I mean, I've grown up fishing that lake. It is true, my home lake.
Well, okay, were the odds in your favor on that? Because you were against some of the best. And Bobby Lane, he came in second. Well, you beat it by 3 pounds. Let's just check this out. The final day, Casey had a bag, 20 pounds, 3 ounces on a final day. Whoa. I mean, and Bobby Lane was right there behind you, but you did on the overall case with a 50-pound, 1-ounce total catch, beat him by 3 pounds. I mean, that had to be soul-satisfying, was it not? And, Casey, let me ask you this. Were there any times that the outcome was in doubt on that last day that you were being chased?
No, I knew that it was going to be good that day. Going into the final day, I told a lot of people, if I'm going to do it, today is the day. I couldn't ask for better weather. But really, going into the tournament, as cold as it was, right. It's like a record cold for there. I don't even remember being in single digits, much less fishing in it. But that's what I wanted. I wanted it to be cold. It makes it tough. It gives you, having the hometown advantage, it gives you even more of an advantage. So it played out perfect in my strategy and what I had planned and the way I wanted the weather. So, it's kind of what they say, the stars lined up. And right. It's when it happens like that, it's such a hard thing to win and capitalize on an opportunity. And, everything's got to go right. You got to have your head in the game. And it all worked out that week. And, it's been a life-changing experience.
Well, Casey, listen, when that cold front came through and stayed, I mean, the fish went from shallow to how deep? I mean, were you in the mid-range? Were you deep 30 feet, 40 feet, 50 feet? What was the dealio?
I caught my fish, the majority of them I caught, 30 to 40 feet. And the thing about Lake Hartwell, there's always shallow fish and there's always deep fish. But when you go into practice, that's what a lot of guys don't take into consideration. When you know that front is coming and it's going to get cold, those fish up shallow are really biting. But you have to prepare yourself to know, hey, when this cold front gets here, those fish are done. You may struggle around, catch a decent bag one day, but those fish, what's left up there that's talking about the shallow fish, what's left after the cold front, and you catch them, they're done. There's no more coming back. So, that's kind of how I practiced from the get-go. The deep bite wasn't that great in practice, but I knew that's where they were going when it got as cold as it did. And, that strategy really, really helped out.
Well, Casey, your tackle box or storage, tackle storage, you have more lures than hair on my head and your head and everything combined. I understand you won that Classic with a homemade lure given to you by your dad?
I did. That's something that we've caught them on for years and years. And, we make them right there at home. Nothing special, but I tell you, on Lake Hartwell and all the lakes really around my house, I mean, that thing is killer.
Well, let's stop right there, Case. Being the ultimate capitalist that I am, are you going to be manufacturing this?
It is. Blake Moore's making it. They actually have a patent on it from the get-go. It's called Casey's Classic Runner. It is just like what I use, just like what we build right there in the shop. And it's a pretty bad little bait.
Well, Casey, as we shot the video down there in South Carolina for the Z-Man account. I mean, Z-Man, they were a sponsor of yours, and people don't understand besides the physical grind and the studying and whatever goes into becoming a successful professional bass angler, it's getting the sponsorship, Casey, correct? I mean, Triton Boats, you had Zeman. Go into what is involved in that. For me, it's just been about, surrounding yourself with good people. My sponsors, most of them have been with me since I started. And, you can't do it without that backing. And for the most part, all my sponsors are like family. So that's kind of the way I go about the whole sponsor deal. There's some guys that are a lot better at it than me. But, when I build a relationship, I don't look at it as a sponsor. I look at it as a relationship. So that's my outlook on it. It's definitely got harder and harder to get sponsors now, right. after everything went south in 2008. But there's still good deals out there and good people to work for. That's the thing about the fishing industry. It's big, if you're looking from the outside in, but if you're on the inside looking out, the fishing industry is very, very small, and it's a family type. Exactly. Joining us on the line, Casey Ashley, reigning 2015 Bassmaster Classic champion. The 2016 will be on Grand Lake of the Cherokees down in Oklahoma, March 4th through 6th. Casey, I had an opportunity to work with him several times in the past, a real class act and just down to earth as you can get. Well, Casey, back to the sponsors. I mean, because from our end, too, we'd be sitting in the meetings, okay, what about this? Because we're getting, solicitations from all over the place predicated on our clientele. Suffix Line, Stren Line, Uzuri, et cetera, ad infinitum. Casey, when the going gets tough, I mean, is that specter of the sponsors hanging over you in your experience? Now, you're a 3-time Elite Series winner. I mean, that's testament right there to what great of a fisherman you are. But is that ever in the back of your mind? Are the sponsors going to be satisfied with what I'm doing? How do you handle that? Your sponsors, they're with you. That's what I mean by relationships. They're with you thick through thin. I mean, you obviously want to do good to reward them for, putting their neck out on the line by backing you in your career. It kind of goes in. That was kind of part of my speech after winning the Classic there. It's you want to win the tournament for yourself, but you win it for your fans and your sponsors and the people that stood behind you, throughout. So that's a big part of it. You don't always get to win every tournament, right? But when you do, you really need to make it count. And that's just you giving a pat on back to the people that's been supporting you from the get-go. So, yeah, that's a big part of it, and that's what I meant really by relationships instead of a sponsor. Okay, joining us on the line is Casey Ashley. Okay, Casey, listen, the 3-time Elite Series that you won it 3 times, as soul-satisfying as winning the Classic? The first one was definitely. I won my first year on tour. I was 23 years old. That's right. I remember that. Yeah, wow. 23 years old, young, didn't have a clue, didn't really have very many sponsors back then, so winning that event, that really helped me to continue my career, to be honest with you. Sure. And it gives you a little longevity, and it shows people that you're for real, and, that win will always stick out in my mind. And then, of course, the Classic is kind of a Cinderella story, being really the first one to win a Classic on your true home waters, not just the home state. I mean, that's something that I'll always remember, and I won it on a bait that my dad made for me. So that's, I may win 30 more, but that one will always be very special. In size forever in your memory, Casey. And the emotional aspect, you can't put a measurement on that. Well, Casey, now coming up this 2016 Classic, and listen, I've been a press angler, so I've participated in Classics, and it's how do you say this? It's crazy out there on the water. I mean, these are these guys' livelihoods. Off the water, Casey, I've noticed everyone are friends. They talk. They would give you the shirt off their back, discuss strategies, whatever. On the water, Casey, it's an entirely different ballgame, is it not? It is. It's kind of weird how that is, because just like you said it, off the water, we're all friends, hang out, would do anything for anybody. But when you get on the water, it's just like you're in another world. It's you and the task at hand. You don't really worry about what everybody else is doing. And there are a few guys, that are really tight, and if things are going bad and you run into each other on the water, we'll even give each other a bone, to keep you from, finishing dead last. Sure. But otherwise, yeah, it is. Most of it's cutthroat, and, you're there for yourself. You don't really worry about. For me, I like being out there
I like to fish by myself. I like to be away from every other angler. I don't want to see anybody. Mm-hmm. I don't want anybody around me, and that's when I do the best. I get zoned in on what I'm doing and don't worry about anything else that's happening in the world right there.
Casey, your strategies now, 2016 Classic, March 4th to 6th, Grand Lake of the Cherokees. The Classic is returning there. I mean, not going to spill the beans here, but, I mean, a strategy already formulated. It was a constant work in progress. You're on the water. Damn, this isn't working. Go to this. Go to Plan B, Plan C, Plan D. How does that work, Case?
That's the way I do it. I honestly like to go into a tournament with a fresh mind. I don't even really like to pre-fish for a tournament, because going so far in advance doesn't really help you. And this year is kind of going to be a laid-back year compared to last year being on the home lake, yep. All the media opportunities and everything that goes on before, even months before, leading up to the week before the Classic. That's, a lot of fans don't really understand what the Classic week in store is for us. It's something like every hour. So this year, man, I'm just going to get to lay back and chill, and all the hometown pressure stuff's going to be on Jason Christie and Edwin Evers. So I'm just going to sit back and watch them be paraded around.
Casey, that's going to be it. But Casey, you still the butterflies, still the knots in the stomach, still the little bit of trepidation. Again, being your second Classic or any competition, any qualifying tournament, Absolutely. Is it always there?
Absolutely. When that's gone, you need to quit. I mean, it's just like deer hunting. If you don't get nervous, or turkey hunting or whatever, if that adrenaline don't get to pumping right there at game time, I mean, you should probably think about getting out of it because, it doesn't mean as much to you as it used to. And, every tournament that I fish, before blast off, while you're running to your first spot, all the anticipation that's going through your mind, my heart's racing, it's pumping. Just like you're getting fired up to go play a football game, baseball game. But, about 10 casts in, I calm back down and it's time to go to work.
And get to business. Join us on the line, Casey Ashley, 2015 Bassmaster Classic winner, Geico Bassmaster Classic winner, still reigning champion, March 4th through 6th on Grand Lake of the Cherokees in Oklahoma will be the 2016 Geico Classic. Casey, we're hard up against the break. Can you hang in for one more segment, please?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Tom P., Rack and Fin Radio. Grab that cup, grab that Rebel, man. Casey Ashley is sort of in the house. Be right back. Rack and Fin Radio.
This is Rack and Fin Radio with Tom P. on WPG Talk Radio 1450.
Yeah, back inside Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P. Excuse me, WPG 1450 AM from 6 to 7 to Great Talk Radio from 7 to 8, 97.3 ESPN FM, 50,000 watts of the Rack and Fin Radio message. Also streaming live on the web, WPG1450.com, 97.3 ESPN.com. You can check it out on YouTube. I think this Monday or Tuesday, however the production people handle that, I have no idea. On the line right now, very special guest, Casey Ashley. He's from Donald, South Carolina. He won the Bassmaster Classic 2015 on Lake Hartwell, a 50-pound, 1-ounce bag, and he's going to be back in the Classic, the 2016 version down there in Grand Lake of the Cherokees in Oklahoma, March 4th through 6th. The Super Bowl, the World Series, whatever you want to call it, a professional bass fishing. The best of the best of the best are in here. But I'll tell you, it's talk about the best anglers there are that win tournaments, qualify for the Classics, 5, 10, 12, 15 times that never won it. That, I'll tell you, that's tough. Hey, Casey, I mean, you deal with all the pros, and there's guys like Aaron Martins. He was in the Classic 16 times. Gary Klein, who I fished with down in the Delta, 30 times. As great as these anglers are, they don't win it. So a little bit of luck is involved. What is it, Casey, that you think that, Tommy Biffle, 19 times. Zell, my main man Zell Rowan there in Katy, Texas, 16 times. And Casey actually goes in there and kicks their butt.
It is the hardest tournament to fish. And like I said earlier, the stars have to line up. And, the Classic is different it's a whole different ball game from the rest of the tournaments that we fish. There's no points on the line. Your mental outlook on the whole deal is totally different. You're there to win. First place is all that matters, and that's kind of how you fish, and that's how everybody fishes. And it kind of makes everybody a wild card. You know what I mean? Because right. In a regular tournament situation, at some point during practice of the tournament, you have to back up and punt and say, all right, I'm not going to win this. I've got to catch fish to survive. But the Classic, there's none of that. Everybody's there to win, and they're just going to keep working, doing, just throwing baits to catch big fish, power fishing. There's never a back up and punt situation. So that's what makes it so hard to win.
Well, Casey, now when you won the Classic, okay, I remember Dick Wood giving me a call. I knew you were in the Classic. I haven't been following. I've been running around, as normal. Tom P, chicken with his head cut off. I got a call from Dick Wood. He said, Casey won the Classic. I put down my cup of coffee. I said, Casey Ashley won the Classic. First thing, I don't want to mention the sponsor who they had parted ways. I was hoping they were having a heart attack and falling over. Yes, that's my immature self on that. But Casey, we know who we're talking about. When you won that Classic, Casey, I mean, your sponsors proud. It paid off for them. Now, was it just an avalanche rather of possible new sponsorships calling you up? Hey, represent us. What was that like?
Not really. Like I said, after 2008, it's gotten really hard to get a sponsor. And for me, Triton's been with me since I began. Mercury's been with me. Costa's been with me. Quantum rods and reels come along later in the game. High Seas, Zoom Bait Company, they've been with me since I started. But most of my sponsors have been there. So I look to build relationships. I'm just not going to take a deal and, be a 1 year, 2 year deal and be done. That's not what I'm about. So I really pay attention, to what's going on before I sign on the dotted line for anything. But, I got a new sponsor last year, Sims Fishing Gear. I mean, I don't know that I could have fished that Classic without, Sims. They make great product, and it's cold. And you know how Southern boys are when it gets that cold. We can't stand it. So we're not used to it like y'all. But, that's the kind of sponsors that I try to look for, to build a relationship with. In the long term. The long term, when you're starting out, Casey, though, when you're starting out, maybe perhaps not you, but other ones, I'll take what I can get. I'll take what I can get, even if it's for 1 year or maybe only 2 years. I'll take what I can get. But Casey, now from the sponsors, do they solicit your input on products? They do. And I just signed with Livingston this year, and that's one reason that I went with them. Especially as far as bait companies, you don't really get that a whole lot, but we test every bait. We're hands on before it's ever produced. If we don't okay it, they don't okay it. And that's a big part, in the whole fishing industry. That's you don't want to stick something out there and the sponsor tell you, hey guys, this is what we're going to do this year. Y'all fish this, and you've never seen it before. I like to be hands on and to have an opinion. I'm definitely not a bait designer. I know that, but I can tell you if it works or catch fish.
That's it. And listen, Casey and his dad, they're homemade lure. It's being manufactured by Blakemore. It's called Casey's Classic Runner. Casey Ashley, 2015 and reigning Bassmaster champions on the Rack and Fin radio line with us this morning. And he's also going to be competing 2016 Classic down here, Grand Lake of the Cherokees, just outside of Tulsa in Oklahoma, March 4th through 6th. Well, Casey, before I let you go, listeners, at a computer, a smartphone, whatever, I want you to Google The Fisherman, or just Fisherman by Casey Ashley, a 3-minute, 21-second music video that embodies everything about fishing, the love of the sport, the love of the profession, and the camaraderie. There are cameos in there with several pros. Again, competitors, but still friends. The respect is there. Casey, my lovely Denise Marie asked me this the other day when I showed her this video. She said, does he have a singing career? And if not, why not? I said, he's a professional bass fisher. He's with this, he's with that. She says, so what? Okay, Casey, let's let it go. How did you get into the singing end of things?
I've always enjoyed to sing, and it's something, music's a big part of my life. And, to make a long story short, Bass figured out that I could sing the national anthem. So that kind of began the whole deal. Rodney Clausen wrote that song, Fisherman. 2008 was when I done that, right before my first Classic. Uh-huh. And since then, I've been, spent a good bit of time in Nashville. I did another record. It's called Released. It's on iTunes. You can get it off of my website, caseyashley.com. But I figured out pretty quick that, fishing is my passion. And if somebody was to tell me where to be, when to be, what to sing, how to dress, that's not me. I would not enjoy it anymore. So, I'm going to fish for a living, and I'm going to sing because I enjoy it.
Casey, let me ask you this, because I've seen what it takes. There's the incredible amount of dedication, and unfortunately, listeners, it comes with a downside. Casey, keeping it together family-wise with an aggressive and just seems never-ending touring schedule for these tournaments, how does a family unit be kept together under such circumstances? It used to be easier when I was young. I'm 32 now, just turned 32 last week. 32? He said when he was young, he's 32.
And it seems the older you get, the more demand there is on your time, and the more time that you're in the sport. You just meet different people, but you just have to learn to say no sometimes. That's that one word no is such a hard thing to tell a sponsor or somebody wanting you to make an appearance, but that's the difference between you being there or you getting to spend time at home with your family when you've got 2 days in between when you're supposed to leave. So that's the hardest thing about it, because all your sponsors back you. You want to do whatever they ask, but sometimes you can't do it. Family overrides everything, and it is hard. It's almost like work sometimes to make sure that you are at home, to be with family. And there ain't no place I'd rather be. I come from a small town. A one-horse town, you would probably call it, being from the big city you are. But that's what I love, and family and friends are a big part of my life and a big support, for me and what I do. So, yeah, I wouldn't miss the time that I have with them for anything.
Well, Casey Ashley, very well said. Listeners, joining us on the line, very special guest, Casey Ashley, reigning Geico Bassmaster Classic champion, and will be competing again in the 2016 Classic at the Grand Lake of the Cherokees in Oklahoma, March 4th through 6th, and we will keep you posted. Casey, great to make your acquaintance again. I enjoyed working with you. Listeners, that was a video, I want to mention it, where he shot this bait with his AK-47, stuck it on a hook, and went and caught a bass. And you said, hey,
absolutely.
You said, hey, man, this guy has it. Well, Casey, wish you, I can say luck. I mean, Casey, you're dedicated. You give it 1,000%, as all the professional bass anglers do. But
everybody needs a little luck.
A little luck. Listen, Ashley, you don't come back with that classic second winner, we're going to have a problem here.
Hey, I'd love to make it back to back.
Casey, you take care. Best of luck. Best of the family, to your dad and everybody involved. Enjoyed working with you. Thanks for being a guest on Rack and Fin. Best of luck to Casey Ashley. He's going to be the 2016 Geico Classic winner. Tom Pease. That's my prediction, Ashley.
Good.
Okay, man. You take care, brother. Be good.
Thank y'all for having me.
See you. Yeah, things are still happening on the fishing scene. Spring will be here before you know it. That was Casey Ashley, Bassmaster Classic winner 2015, 2016. He's not going to like it. The money's on Ashley. Listen, a lot of seminars still going on. Don't forget, today, the Southern Regional Fishing Flea Market. But next week, the 20th, George Poveromo's National Saltwater Seminar Series roars into Linwood Country Club. There are still some tickets available, from what I understand. Go to nationalseminarseries.com. $55 ticket gets you probably $200 worth of goodies, and it's 5 hours of intensity. Great panels, great guests, some experts on there. One of the experts joining us on the line right now from the airport, crazy Alberto Nees, guest on Rack and Fin Radio. Oh, once in a great while, when you pin the man down because he's fishing everywhere. Alberto's going to be here next week. And listen, besides his knowledge from crappies to anything, salt water, everything, anything, the man, owner, Tactical Lures. You're seeing them everywhere now. Crazy Alberto, how you doing, brother?
Yo, what's up, buddy? What's happening? Oh, my God.
Next week.
Call me in a very interesting time, bud. I'm at the airport.
I know that. This early, you're on the way up, Alberto, next week, Tom P's going to be in the house. I will be in the audience. It's the National Seminar Series, Alberto. I mean, it's just one of the best saltwater seminar series ever. And the knowledge that's dispensed inshore, offshore, back bay, everything is there. And you are one of the main panelists that travel on the whole circuit. How's that going?
Oh, it's awesome. My God, this seminar series is actually unbelievable. The amount of information that we're sharing, it is just off the rocks. It's incredible. We're giving out some incredible tips about how to, all the nitty-gritties, all the secrets. We're not holding back on this one.
This is it. On the line, crazy Alberto Nee on the pro staff of I don't know how many manufacturers. But Alberto, I know you're about to board a plane, and listen, you're going to see him as well at the Saltwater Expo next month up there in Somerset. Alberto, go into that kick-ass line of tactical angler lures, man. What's that all about?
Oh, my God. Jesus Christ. I tell you, people finally realizing how good these lures are. I mean, it's through wire. It's a rattling system, weight distributed, wonderful colors. I mean, we put so much effort into creating one of these lures, and people are finally catching on. And just check out my Facebook, Crazy Alberto Nee or Alberto Nee, and the amount of fish that you're seeing from tarpon to gigantic snookzilla and stripers and you name it. Check it out, bud.
Well, Alberto, now we have the big fish in the freshwater too, the muskies, the northerns, the tiger muskie, et cetera, ad infinitum. What about is there going to be a series of freshwater series? I know you're big on the hybrid stripers, a.k.a. Florida sunshine bass. Will there be a freshwater series?
Are you kidding me?
Am I
Dude,
kidding
we have
you?
the crossover. Come on, get real here. We have the crossover. We have the crossover lures. We have the stalker, which is similar to the walk the dog, and we have a popper. And he has caught from peacock bass to largemouth bass to freaking from speckled trout to weak fish to bluefish. And check this out: mahi and bluefin tuna, baby small tuna. It's a blast. And the nice thing is it's true wire. And guess what? And the price with that lure, you can't beat it. A lure of that will be very, very expensive, but they're keeping it just under $10.
Let's just under $10.
Under $10, you got it. I mean, where are you going to find a tuna lure for under $10? Where are you going to find something that is true wire? Are you kidding me?
No, I'm saying you can't for under $10. Are you religious or something? Don't you believe in a prophet?
No, we don't. This is a nice way of giving it back to the fishing community, and let's keep going. Let's get everybody excited about this fishing. Fishing has gone downhill. I mean, the conservation, the regulations, blah, 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 is taking us down. Let's boost it up, and this is one way of saying we're going to give it back and let everybody get excited about fishing.
Okay, Alberto, very well said. Listeners, Alberto Nee, crazy Alberto Nee. Next week, Linwood Country Club, National Saltwater Seminar Series. He will be there. George Poveron. We have some great pros here. Captain Al Credelli, Gina Lawrence, and Mike McConnell. It's going to be super. There's still some tickets left. NationalSeminarSeries.com, $55, 5 hours of intense instruction, and you're going to leave with a couple of $100 worth of goodies to go. Alberto, travel safely, and I'll see you next week, brother.
Thank you, buddy. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. It's going to be a lot of fun. And stay warm, and just think about fishing. Spring is not too far along. Hey, hang in there, bud.
Okay, you take care, man. See you later.
All right, be well.
Take care.
Right, bye-bye.
Yeah, caught him early at the airport. National Seminar Series. This is, George's been doing that 20-something years. Unbelievable. Now it's going to be $55. Inshore, offshore, back bay, especially your tuning, some cutting edge tactics, with dredges. It's beyond worth the $55 admission fee. It's going to be something. Still some tickets left. I think they max them at $550. And according to George, who was very under the weather, man. Hey, Poveromo, this better be better by next week, man. There are still a few left. Be right back. Grab that cup. Grab that Red Bull. Rack and Fin Radio.
This is Rack and Fin Radio with Tom P. on WPG Talk Radio 1450.
Yeah, welcome back. Final segment, Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P. Weekend of February 13th, 6 to 7, WPG 1450 AM, the Great Talk Radio. And from 7 to 8, 97.3 ESPN FM, 50,000 watts of the Rack and Fin Radio message celebrating our 13th year, New Jersey's longest running and most successful outdoor radio program. And I have to say that will include the Mid-Atlantic region as well. I don't know, you want to check it out? I can't say anyone else that's been around that long. Okay, that was Alberto Nee just mentioning next week's Saltwater Seminar Series at the Linwood Country Club. George Poveron, man, it's going to be a great time. Afterwards, there's going to be a party at Bass Pro Shops. Now, we have some great local talent on there. Joining us on the line right now, he has a minute or two to spare. One of the panelists, Captain Al Credelli III on the Bayhound out of Sea Isle. Captain Al, getting picked. George has hundreds of panelists to choose from. To get picked for your area is indeed an honor. It's testament to your acumen and excellence as an angler. Captain Al, 2 Live Crew, how are you, man?
Hi, Tom. Thank you very much.
Hey, man,
it's a real honor.
Yeah, we're going to see you next. We're going to see you next week, Al. Now, you're going to be doing some inshore and offshore stuff, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, they'll be talking about some inshore wreck fishing. I believe some back bay flounder fishing and a few cane segments also.
Okay, Al Credelli III, Bayhound, on the Rack and Fin line with us right now. Al, getting picked for the Poveron Seminar. This is a return visit for you. You've done it several times before, have you not?
I have, yeah. I believe it's my third time, Tom. Each time it's an honor to be up there with the guys and ladies that are up there. It really it's a true honor, Tom. Thanks.
Al, what people fail to realize, again, when you hear the word seminar, automatically you think of just sitting there and getting lectured to. Poveromo has this panel system set up. Al, as you can tell, it's an artesian well of knowledge coming out there. All you captains, It's just one gem of information to the next gem of information. Before you know it, you have a whole jewelry store there, man. It's great stuff.
Yeah. It's for the format and the way he allows everyone to speak on a little bit on each topic is phenomenal. That way you get so many, everybody's intake. Yeah, like I said, it's an honor to be included with so many guys that are up there. Really is.
Al, let me ask you this. This past season, I mean, we had a great autumn striper run. On the overall, now you do the offshore stuff. You're an ace tuna angler. You do the back bay flounder. You do the flounder out front. You do the sea bass, the ling, the blackfish. On the overall, Al, 2015, how would you rate it on a 1 to 10 scale? On the overall?
I would give it an 8, Tom. An 8. Probably mainly because of the weather we had this year. We were able to get out so much more. There was so many more consecutive days to fish, which allows you to pattern certain species. That I believe that overall we probably had, as far as fish availability of fish, but the main thing is the weather, Tom. You know, when the weather's nice, you can get out and get after things.
And Al, that the weather is key. I mean, conditions could be a little rough out there. If the weather's conducive, Crudelli crew, you find the fish. You've done it for us many a time, be it magazine cover assignments, whatever. Listeners, Captain Al Crudelli III of the Bayhound, joining a great crew down there. Gina Lawrenson from the Caroline 3, Captain Mike McConnell on Tuna Tick Sport Fishing. I mean, it's just going to be an all-star lineup. Al, we will see you next week. Now, Crudelli, you'll hear me coming. You know that.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. I'll be ready.
Now, now, listen, the lovely Denise Marie wants to know, Todd Drip early spring, what do you think?
Oh, man, I get the reports out, but this past Sunday, we got a trip in right before the blow, and we found quite a few cod, Tom. It was a real nice trip, along with some blackfish pushing 14, 15 pounds. So hopefully we'll get one more weekend here before they shut the blackfish down, but... Yep. But it's looking good on the cod front, so I got to tell you that.
He is also known as the boss of the bacala. Crew, I'll see you next week, man.
All right, Tom. Thank you very much for the call.
You got it, man.
Take care.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate over the many years to attend seminars from some of the greatest in the industry. But this saltwater sportsman, the setup, the National Seminar Series, saltwater sportsman, the panelists, your head is going to explode with the amount of knowledge. And the best part, from my end, after the seminar, from 5 until 9, there's an after party at Bass Pro Shops in Atlantic City. Okay, from 5 to 9, there's going to be complimentary food, refreshments, live music. Poveromo and all the staff are going to be there. Panelists as well as some of the Bass Pro Shops pro staff. I mean, you have some great guys on there. You have Jersey Justin, among others. It is going to be a great time. Joining us on the line right now to wrap up Rack and Fin today, the 13th, is Eric Clements. He is the general manager of Bass Pro Shops in Atlantic City. Eric, first of all, thanks for coming on. Second of all, great job at that great store. And third of all, thanks for the party that's coming up, because you've never seen a white man eat like Tom P., brother.
Oh, my gosh. Tom, we're real excited to host that party. That's a great seminar series. We went last year. Our fishing manager, Corey Solomon's one of the presenters this year, so we're excited about that. We've got a lot of stuff lined up. Johnny X from Ducktown Tavern is providing the food, so it'll be excellent. Ooh. And he's also setting up a cash bar for us in case anybody's thirsty. And we will have live music there, so it'll be a good time. There's a coupon for the seminar attendees. It gives them $10 off a $75 purchase, so that's an advantage. And we're also in the middle of our fishing classic, so there'll be a lot of sales going on.
I know, Eric, we had Captain Corey on last week, and he is lock-cocked, ready to rock about this seminar and the after party. Listen, here's a chance. You're going to meet some of the best in the business at Bass, during the seminar and at Bass Pro Shops afterwards. And, Eric, thanks so much for doing this. This is going to really, again, put a bright light on the South Jersey fishing opportunities, especially in the Atlantic City area.
Yep, great exposure for the fishery, and the more people know about it, the more they appreciate it.
Okay, Eric Clements, General Manager, Bass Pro Shops, Atlantic City. We will see you next week at the after party. You take care, Eric. Thanks again.
Thanks, Tom.
See you, man. And that'll do it for this week on Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P. Get out and enjoy. Okay, it's cold. Will I get some ice fishing in on Collins Cove? We hope. Or actually inland. Just give me 4. I used to go out on 2 inches, 2.5. I didn't care. Now my lovely Denise Marie and Madison, no, I can't. Give me at least 4, and we will be out there. But again, there's still some tickets remaining. How many? Very few. Go to nationalseminarseries.com. That's next week over there in Linwood. The after party at Bass Pro Shops. Best of luck to Casey Ashley, March 4th to 6th, 2016. Geico Bass Master Classic. Get out and enjoy. Snow Goose. Conservation order kicks in on Tuesday. Going to be birds coming down, according to Ted Nichols. Get out and enjoy. God bless America. God bless our troops. See you next week. Rack and Fin Radio.